The story of Medusa is one of the most intriguing and controversial in Greek mythology. In a society that often paints the world in black and white, Medusa emerges as a complex figure, challenging our simplistic perceptions of good and evil. She was a victim of cruel circumstances and at the same time transformed into a symbol of terror. But did she really deserve the fate that was imposed upon her? Or was Medusa unjustly condemned, a victim of the divine forces that shaped her world? This tale is not just about monsters and heroes, but about the nuances of justice, revenge, and redemption. As we delve into Medusa's life, we will explore these questions with a deeper perspective, revealing a story that goes beyond appearances. After all, in the end, was Medusa a villain to be feared or a victim to be understood? Medusa, an enigmatic figure in Greek mythology, was not born as the fearsome creature we know. On the contrary, her origins are rooted in primordial sea deities, beings that embodied the strength and vastness of the ocean. From the beginning, her life seemed destined for normalcy, living alongside her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, both creatures with serpentine appearances. This connection with the forces of nature not only shaped her destiny, but also set her on a path of events that would change her life forever. From an early age, Medusa lived between two realities, that of a normal young woman and that of a descendant of powerful beings. This duality, often overlooked, is similar to everyday life, where we often deal with two versions of ourselves, the one the world sees and the one we keep inside. Medusa's sisters, with their monstrous forms, were a constant reminder of her heritage. But Medusa, unlike them, was born with a human appearance. This made her feel special, yet also different, leading her to seek something more in her existence. This desire to stand out, to find her place in the world, is something that all of us, at some point, experience. Medusa, in turn, found her strength in devotion and in a life that, at first, seemed simple. But simplicity, as we will see, is only the beginning of a more complex journey. And it is this search for identity that will lead her to connect with Athena, the goddess who will profoundly influence her trajectory. After all, like many of us, Medusa longed for more than just to exist. She wanted to belong, to be seen, and perhaps to be loved. From a young age, Medusa demonstrated an unwavering devotion to the goddess Athena. Playing with her sisters, she often assumed the role of the goddess, imitating her gestures and words with an impressive reverence for someone so young. This devotion was not just a child's play. It was a reflection of her deepest aspiration. Medusa did not just want to worship Athena. She wanted to be like her, strong, wise, and respected. This early connection with the goddess would shape her future, leading her to choose a path of dedication and sacrifice. Medusa's life was, in many ways, marked by this aspiration. Unlike many who see religious devotion as a mere formality, Medusa lived it with intensity and purpose. With each act of imitation, she saw herself a little closer to Athena, believing that by following in her footsteps, she could achieve the same greatness. This is a powerful example of how our aspirations can shape us, leading us to make decisions that define who we are and who we become. In modern life, this pursuit can be compared to the desire to follow in the footsteps of a mentor or an inspiring figure. This devotion also instilled in her a strong sense of discipline. Medusa was not just a beautiful young woman. She was determined, someone who understood that true power came from dedication and focus. Like those who aspire to great achievements today, Medusa knew that greatness was not something granted but earned. It was this mindset that led her to aspire to become a priestess of Athena, a role she saw as the pinnacle of her devotion and love for the goddess. Life, however, has its own ways of testing our ambitions, and Medusa would soon discover that even the purest devotion can be challenged. Medusa, despite her remarkable beauty and the attention she received, always kept her heart closed to romantic love. There was a young man, Iphicles, who loved her deeply and whose affection was evident to everyone around. However, Medusa, with her unwavering devotion to Athena, chose to reject his romantic advances. To her, the life of a priestess, entirely dedicated to the goddess, was more valuable than any earthly relationship. This choice reflects the strength of her character, her ability to place a higher purpose above her personal desires. This rejection of love, however, was not an easy decision. Medusa knew she was giving up something that could bring her happiness, but she believed that her true mission in life was to serve Athena. Often in life, we are confronted with similar choices, where we must sacrifice a part of ourselves in the name of something greater. Medusa's choice shows that discipline and commitment to an ideal can, at times, surpass even the deepest feelings. For Iphicles, this rejection was painful, but Medusa remained firm in her decision. She understood that the path she had chosen required sacrifices, and that to love and be loved could divert her attention from her true purpose. Deep down, Medusa knew that to achieve greatness as a priestess of Athena, she needed to give up what might distract her the most. This sacrifice, however, would be only the beginning of the trials that awaited her, for Medusa's beauty and discipline would soon attract the attention of even more powerful forces. Medusa's beauty was something remarkable, a feature that did not go unnoticed by mortals or gods alike. But beyond her appearance, what truly stood out was her discipline and dedication as a priestess of Athena. She was not just a beautiful young woman. She was someone who understood the value of continuous effort and devotion. This combination of beauty and discipline made Medusa a figure both admired and envied, both on Earth and in Olympus. The discipline Medusa displayed in her duties was a lesson in itself. She understood that true beauty was not just in physical appearance, but also in the dedication with which one fulfilled their duties. To many, she was the perfect example of how commitment can amplify the natural gifts a person possesses. Today, this reminds us that, regardless of our talents, it is discipline that leads us to success. Medusa showed that by following her responsibilities to Athena, she not only served the goddess, but also elevated herself as a person. However, this combination of attributes attracted the attention of powerful entities, including Poseidon himself, who saw in Medusa not only her beauty, but also an opportunity for his own ends. What began as admiration quickly turned into a dangerous situation. Medusa, in her dedication, was not prepared to deal with the kind of attention that would come from the gods. And so, what was a life of devotion began to take an unexpected turn, where the discipline that protected her also exposed her to dangers she had never imagined. Poseidon, the god of the seas, was not known for letting offenses go unnoticed, especially when it came to disputes among the gods. Upon observing Medusa's devotion to Athena, a spark of revenge ignited within him. He saw in Medusa the perfect opportunity to strike at Athena in a cruel and direct way. Using his position and power, Poseidon decided to corrupt Medusa's purity, assaulting her in Athena's own temple. This act was not just an aggression against Medusa, but a calculated attempt to tarnish the reputation of the goddess. Poseidon's attack brought devastating consequences for Medusa, who until then believed she was protected by the goddess she served with such devotion. But, as life often teaches us, the protection we expect is not always the protection we receive. What happened in the temple was more than just an act of revenge. It was a strategic blow by Poseidon to destabilize the trust between Medusa and Athena. However, the true tragedy lay in the fact that Medusa, a mere mortal, was used as a pawn in a divine game of power and retribution. This event marks the turning point in Medusa's life, where her purity and devotion were brutally destroyed. In his quest for revenge, Poseidon not only violated Medusa physically, but also stripped her of everything she held dear, her honor and her purpose. And so, Medusa's life, which had once been a journey of seeking and devotion, began to transform into a narrative of pain, injustice, and ultimately a curse. Athena, upon discovering what had happened, would react in a way that would forever change Medusa's fate. Athena, upon learning what had occurred in her temple, was overcome with intense rage. It was not just the violation of the sacred that enraged her, but also the feeling of betrayal, as if Medusa had somehow allowed this to happen. Athena's reaction was severe and unforgiving. In her anger, she transformed Medusa into a gorgon, a terrifying creature with snakes for hair and a gaze that could turn anyone to stone. This transformation, however, was not just a punishment, but a cruel way for Athena to assert her power and control. Athena, known for her wisdom, revealed a side that few knew, a side where the goddess of justice could also be harsh and punitive. By transforming Medusa, Athena was not only punishing the young woman for a crime she did not commit, but was also, in a way, distancing herself from her own responsibility to protect her followers. Medusa was no longer the beautiful, dedicated priestess, but a cursed creature, feared by all. This act by Athena shows that even the gods, in their greatness, can be imperfect, allowing anger and pride to guide their actions. This new reality imposed on Medusa was a terrible burden to bear. Her life, once filled with devotion and purpose, now became an existence of solitude and fear. What was meant to be a punishment for an alleged mistake turned into a curse that affected not only Medusa, but everyone who crossed her path. This dark chapter of Medusa's life is a powerful reminder of how power and anger, when unchecked, can transform even the most righteous into something monstrous. But, as we will see, Medusa's fate was far from over. After being transformed into a gorgon, Medusa found herself in a solitary and terrifying existence. The mere act of looking someone in the eyes was enough to condemn them to eternity as stone. This new reality led Medusa to isolate herself, seeking to avoid contact with others to prevent further destruction. Her refuge became a distant cave, where she spent her days in darkness, surrounded by her own misfortune. The once devoted young priestess was now a cursed figure, condemned to live among shadows and fear. Medusa did not wish harm upon anyone, but her curse forced her into a life where every encounter was fatal. This tragic downfall reminds us of how circumstances beyond our control can completely alter the course of our lives. Like Medusa, many people are pushed into situations where they become something they never imagined they would be. However, unlike many, Medusa had to face these circumstances alone, without the compassion or support she so desperately needed. This isolation only intensified her pain and suffering, creating a legend of terror around her. But even in her seclusion, Medusa's fate was not entirely sealed. Her story of pain and loneliness would eventually attract the attention of a young hero, Perseus, who was tasked with an impossible mission to decapitate the Gorgon. This task, however, would be more than just a challenge for Perseus. It would be the end of Medusa's torment. The young woman who once dreamed of serving the gods now found herself at the end of her journey, where the only escape seemed to be death. But, as we will see, her legacy would continue in unexpected ways. Perseus, the young hero, was chosen to face Medusa, a mission that many considered impossible. With the help of the gods, he was equipped with a reflective shield given by Athena, a crucial tool for his victory. Perseus knew that facing Medusa head-on would be fatal, so he used the shield as a mirror, avoiding direct eye contact with the Gorgon. This strategy, both ingenious and desperate, shows how intelligence and cunning can overcome even the most dangerous challenges. In the end, Perseus managed to decapitate Medusa, ending her suffering. Medusa's legacy, however, did not end with her death. From the blood that flowed from her decapitated head, extraordinary creatures emerged, such as Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chrysaor, the golden warrior. These new lives that sprang from Medusa represent the duality of her existence. On one side, death and the end of a tormented life. On the other, creation and the continuation of legends that would shape Greek mythology. This phenomenon reminds us that even in moments of destruction, something new can be born, and that the end of one story can be the beginning of another. The story of Medusa, despite its tragedy, is also a narrative of resilience and transformation. Although she was cursed and condemned, her death gave rise to new legends and beings that would continue to impact the world of mortals and gods. Perseus, by fulfilling his mission, not only freed Medusa from her curse, but also perpetuated her name through the ages. And so, the legend of Medusa lives on, not just as a tale of terror, but as a story of tragedy, redemption, and rebirth, leaving a legacy that endures to this day in Greek mythology. Now that you know the full story of Medusa, it becomes clear that the legends we hear often have hidden layers, waiting to be uncovered. Medusa's life teaches us that not everything is as it seems at first glance. Have you, like Medusa, ever been judged unjustly? Perhaps you have been misunderstood at some point in your life. Her story challenges us to reflect on the times when we act impulsively, without understanding the full extent of the facts. And now, what will you do with this new knowledge? Will you be swayed by appearances, or will you delve deeper into the truth before passing judgment? Take this moment to reconsider your own stories and narratives. And if you want to continue exploring more of these fascinating legends, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss any details of the next mythological adventures we'll unravel together.